Will everyone please join me in Gassho and recite the Nembutsu with me? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandats, 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 namandats. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Sister.
Oh, wonderful energy today. Thank you. Well, today we are in the middle of October. I can't believe it. We are already in the middle of October, which means that the end of the year is just around the corner. For this year's Dharma School theme, we are talking about the cycles of life. The cycles of life. And I touched upon this in the beginning of the Dharma School year, talking about how we feel when we go back to school. We have all of these familiar feelings when the cycles continue to move, correct? When the wheel continues to turn. And now that we are in the middle of October, we start to see the weather change, we start to see the fall leaves happen, and of course, we also realize the holidays that are just around the corner as well. So, Dharma School students, let's have a quick, just feel free to yell it out when I ask, but what is the holiday that is most known for in October? Halloween, very good. What do you do for Halloween? Dress up and get candy. Do you all, show of hands for Dharma School, do you all have your costumes already thought of and picked out just yet? Oh, you do? Very good. Thinking about it? That's fine. You still have a little bit of time to think of your costumes. And I look forward to seeing all of your costumes at the Halloween party that's going to be happening on October 29th. Okay, Dharma School students, what is the next holiday that you know of that happens in November? Thanksgiving, very good. Thanksgiving. So, what do you eat when we have Thanksgiving? What do you most have? What do you have the most when you do Thanksgiving? Turkey, very good. Turkey. Well, that's what the American holiday kind of looks like. Does anyone else know what the other prominent meat is for Thanksgiving? Ham. Oh, yeah, ham. It was interesting. One of my Japanese American friends told me that in the beginning, lots of Japanese Americans didn't like the taste of turkey, so they decided to have ham instead. But I personally love the taste of turkey. Show of hands for the whole Sangha. How many of you enjoy turkey? Okay, all right, good. You like turkey, but you also have ham, right, at your family gatherings. Wonderful. You think of eating lots of food, right? Think of eating lots of food, and of course, the day after Thanksgiving is what? Black Friday, very good, yes, Black Friday. That's when, of course, the economy starts getting rolling again, and they're offering all these deals because they want you to go out and shop and buy things for people, right? We all kind of know what goes on, all right? So Dharma School students, next one, what is the holiday that we mostly know for December? What? Bodhi Day. Okay, all right, very good. I thought I was going to get you guys on that one, but I think you remembered from last year when I asked for December, a whole bunch of you shouted Christmas, and I'm like, it's Bodhi Day. So that is correct, yes. December is the month that we celebrate the enlightenment of Siddhartha Gautama, or the historical Buddha. But we also, of course, living here in the United States, of course, we get the Christmas holiday off, and many of us still put up Christmas decorations around the house, get a tree, things like that. Because it's October, all of us here at the temple, all of our families, the Dharma School students, everybody has these internal plans moving in their heads, correct? You all have strategies, ideas, things that you're going to be doing, in the next few months, right? How much, probably for the Dharma School students, how much money you need to save and budget for whatever the next, game system or computer or even a car maybe that you have to put up. For adults, you're probably already thinking about booking flights, vacations, getting hotel reservations, getting your house ready for things, right? Making sure you have enough candy for Halloween. I know that that's a problem for a lot of folks, like they go running to the grocery store to get candy. We start to get into this mode of like pre-planning and what we're going to do, and we all know this familiar wheel that turns in our head. The Buddhist teachings teach us about the cause of all of this, right? We all have this idea of how things are going to be, how things should be. Sometimes it's dictated by, what season it is of the year. Other times, it could be, other large things as well. We have so many plans of how we're going to do things. And then sometimes the plans don't go as planned, right? Sometimes a flight gets canceled. Ooh, last year, right? Everyone's thinking about it, but last year for the winter holidays, remember when Southwest, got all those flights canceled and people were stranded all over the airports, right? People were getting upset, people were getting angry, and why wouldn't you, right? You are stuck at an airport for you don't know how long, and you start to stress in your mind about what's going to happen. So now, probably all of you with these back things in your mind are starting to think about the plans and the strategies that you're going to do to try to, change that outcome, to try to change, to plan ahead for flight cancellations, to plan ahead or to expect the unexpected. Now, this is good. Dharma School students, this is very good to always make plans, right? You should try to budget your time and your energy to how you're going to do things. But Buddhism also teaches us to be flexible, right? Sometimes things do happen. Sometimes things come up. And when that happens, right, it's okay to get a little upset, right? The plan didn't go as you hoped that it would, right? Trying to squash your emotions and pretend like the problem isn't a problem is also unhealthy. Feel that bout of anger, feel that bout of disappointment, right? But then don't let it consume you, right? Maybe you don't get the thing that you want for the holiday. Maybe you didn't get your favorite candy. Maybe you didn't get the grade you wanted on that paper. Buddhism teaches us to be flexible in all these things. And as we all know, as the cycles of life continue to move forward, we also come to the scary realization that these cycles of life do not stop. The cycles of life continue to roll and roll and roll. Sometimes this is why I enjoy the fact that our symbol, other than the Sagara Fujimon here on our temple, is also the wheel of the Dharma. As we all know, the wheel of the Dharma continues to turn, right? Continues to turn for the sake of truth, continues to turn for our benefit as well. But this is not a cold, harsh reality truth, right? This is a calm and gentle and kind truth that is given to us on a daily basis. The truth of the reality is that there are very few things that we can control in life. Sometimes we want to control. Sometimes we wish that we can, stop the weather from being the way that it is. We'd like to have more sun, or we want to bring rain. Sometimes we wish that school started a little bit later, but the school starts when it starts. Sometimes we wish we didn't have to get up on a Sunday to come listen to Reverend Koyama give a Dharma talk. Sometimes we wish that, when we stay with our friends or when we have gatherings, that we could stay a little bit longer. But we have to remember that change is always good, and permanence will continue to happen whether we like it or not. And with this truth in mind, it's important for us, especially as followers of the Dharma, to feel the emotions that we feel for these times, but also to allow them to go, to also allow the time to continue to roll on. So Dharma School students, as the year is coming to somewhat of a close, it's not there yet, but we can see it around the corner, let us remember the turning of the wheel. Okay? As much as the cycles of life continue to turn with our daily lives, school, work, and play, the truth of the Dharma also continues to turn for us in our benefit as well. Remember that the Dharma wheel continues to turn. Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion continues to work for us. And when we mess up, sometimes when we fail, when we sometimes can't let go of the change that happens to us, always remember that Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion continues to embrace you. And I think that is something that we should emphasize more and more as we notice sometimes these chaotic times that we are in, is that despite or because of all of this chaos, because of all of this chaos that happens in our daily lives, Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion continues to work for us. So continue to go to school, continue to trudge along and make your way to the holidays that many of you are probably looking forward to. And then when that time comes, enjoy it while it is there. The last thing I would like to say, Dharma School students, is enjoy and treasure the times that come to you in these cycles. And what I mean by this is that when we have those large family gatherings like Christmas, New Year's, Shogatsu, or Thanksgiving, when you are together with your family, treasure them and embrace them. For also, our time with our family is also impermanent. Remember that these are people who are precious to you and precious all around. This time that you have with them is also precious. Take time to sit with your grandparents and listen to their stories. I know sometimes they can be long and sometimes repetitive, but all the better for you to remember their stories by. Take time to help your mother or your father in the kitchen or cleaning up. You will treasure that time amongst all else when the circumstances change, when you're off to college or you have to move to a new state for a job. Take time to treasure the ones who you love, for your time with them is precious. The good news is that the cycles of life continue. The cycles of the seasons continue. They offer us excuses and chances for us to gather with our family members. So Dharma School students, if you're going to take anything from this message, take time to cherish, take time to enjoy with your family this coming holiday season. Thank you very much for attending today's Dharma service. In closing, will you all please join me in Gassho and recite the Nembutsu with me. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandabs, namandabs, namandabs. When we say Namo Amida Butsu, which surpasses all virtues, our heavy obstructions of evil, past, present, and future, are all unfailingly transformed, becoming light. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandabs, namandabs, namandabs. Good morning, everyone. I would once again like to recall and thank you all for coming to Reverend Blaine Higa's seminar. Just on a personal note, it was a wonderful time for me to sort of have that familiar feeling of being with my graduate school friends. And I know that all of you share similar feelings when you get together with old college friends and friends from your either graduate school days or college days or even high school days, where you can get together and reminisce about good times and talk about all the funny inside jokes that you all have. And some of you even got to witness a little bit of that when Reverend Blaine was giving his Dharma talk, when he called me out a couple of times in front of the Sangha. It was a funny time for us to kind of relive our wonderful moments together and to experience sort of this shared bond of what it means to be a Buddhist minister, but of course also how we are connected with a similar mission of sharing the teachings of Shinran Shonin. Today's Gosandai, or the opening quote I just did today, comes from the Wasan, or Shinran's song poems or hymns of the Pure Land, which specifically talk about benefits of the present. We think a lot about, what do we get out of saying Namo Amida Butsu, right? But in terms of what we receive, what we get, saying Namo Amida Butsu is a reflection of all the hard work that Bodhisattva Dharmakara goes into putting to our receiving of infinite wisdom and compassion. So when we say Namo Amida Butsu, our heavy obstructions of evil, past, present, and future, talking about our karma, are all unfailingly transformed, becoming light. What this means is that when we take refuge in the Buddha of infinite light and life, we are surrounded by wisdom and compassion. This doesn't mean that, we're never going to get sick, or that, we're going to somehow win the lottery or get the material things that we wanted. But we come to this true stage of settlement and understanding that we are forever embraced by the consistent energy of wisdom and compassion that is the working of the Dharma wheel. And it is during these times, sometimes of chaos, where we have to rely on this compassion, chaos to compassion, still drawing back from our Northwest Convention. So recently, in recent days, I was also, like many of you, were very, very disturbed and very unsettled when we saw what was going on in the Middle East. Usually the subject of the conflict between Israel and Palestine is a subject that I don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, as I am neither Jewish nor Muslim, or I am neither a person connected to Israel really or Palestine. Yet at the same time, to think to myself, that is a Jewish and Muslim problem, so therefore it doesn't bother me or it doesn't concern me, also would show how ignorant I truly am. When we talk about saying the Nembutsu, when we talk about receiving Amida's infinite light and life, we are talking about giving compassion and wisdom to all sentient beings, not just one group of people. It is very sad for me that this conflict is happening and so much innocent life is lost on both sides, both in Israel and in Gaza. It is very hard for me to see terrible things happening to people who have nothing to do with this conflict suffer because of the actions of a few misguided people. Yet at the same time, I felt it was necessary for me to reach out to many of my Jewish and Muslim friends. Actually, a couple of times I was on a phone conversation with one and a Facebook chat with another, and I just asked them to, tell me what they were feeling. What was their feeling? How were they feeling? What was their emotions? What were they angry? Were they upset? Did they feel lost? Did they feel alone? And I should mention that I spoke with both Jewish and Muslim friends about this. As a person who is not Jewish or Muslim, it was, in a sense, easy for me not to take a side. But at the same time, then it becomes a burden, in a sense, to weigh both sides on your shoulders as well, to hear the conflict from both sides. And yet at the same time, this is the kind of thing that Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion works for. We are all, even us as Buddhists, biased, and we have our opinions. We have our closed-minded ideas about things. We speculate that this thing is good and that this thing is bad. We even have disagreements about how we put things in a cooking recipe. There are so many things that we become divided about, whether it be our political affiliation, our religion, and then of course maybe even going deeper, like our race, ethnicity, or the way we identify as a gender. And yet, at the same time, because we have all of these shortcomings, and because we have this constant battle going inside of ourselves of how we label things, what we label as good or bad, the Buddha Dharma continues to work solely for our benefit and for the benefit of all sentient beings. And of course, this is not to suggest that, everybody should just convert to Buddhism and then they'll be good, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. However, what I am saying is that our duty, I think, as Buddhists in this particular time of chaos, especially if you have Jewish friends and Muslim friends, is to be a sounding board sometimes, to be that source of compassion for them, to listen to them, to not take sides and to not justify or vilify one side or the other, to realize that all of this conflict is part of the human condition as to why Shakyamuni Buddha came to this world in the first place. It was to relieve us of our suffering, to relieve us of this constant conflict that we call samsara, the cycle of birth and death. Living in this world of saha, right? Saha meaning the illusionary world, the walls that we build to divide us, the culture that we have that should be celebrated, but can sometimes be used to exclude others. This is why the Nembutsu exists, for us to take refuge in. But not just to take refuge in and just say, okay, I say Namo Amida Butsu and then I don't have to do anything anymore, but to also realize and to take example and stock of the hard, constant working of Bodhisattva Dharmakara. Yes, we as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists or people cannot shoulder that same weight that Bodhisattva Dharmakara did, passing through 10 kalpas of hard practice to become a fully enlightened being, to provide us with the way to enlightenment. We could never hope in our one lifetime that we would be able to achieve the same amount of spiritual enlightenment that Amida Buddha did. Yet at the same time, this does not excuse us from walking this path with people of other religions, races, ethnicities, gender identities, sexual orientation, and the list goes on. We must continue to walk this life with them, celebrate their differences, compassionately, openly, and respectfully. And this is why Namo Amida Butsu is there for us, not only as as for us to take refuge in when we say Namo Amida Butsu, but to lead us in our lives by example. When listening to my Muslim and Jewish friends, I realized that listening goes a long way. And in this particular time, when I think about it, one of our main practices as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists is to deeply listen to the Dharma and to deeply listen to the teachings of our founder, Master Shinran, and to deeply listen to the words of Shakyamuni Buddha from the 3 Pure Land Sutras. Interestingly enough, if you pick up a book of the 3 Pure Land Sutras and read it, and read from the larger sutra in the second part, you will hear a commentary on the human condition or our human existence. And you will kind of look up and sort of wonder to yourself and say, man, that sounds sure like a lot of what's going on right now, whether it be in our own tattered political climate or whether it's the terrible conditions that are happening in the Middle East right now. And it's odd, isn't it? When we talk about the cycles of life, humans can sometimes get into conflict where we cycle through these acts of violence and these acts of revenge. But I also believe that we as Buddhists, we as people, and we as members of the global community also have opportunity to show great compassion as well, or to show the most amount of compassion that we are able to as humans. We cannot show the same compassion and the same type of enlightened activity as the Buddha or Amida Buddha. Yet at the same time, we can still be a great amount of support for our friends who are hurting at this time. So I encourage all of you to continue this wonderful practice of deeply listening to the Dharma. And when we say Namo Amida Butsu, our heavy obstructions of evil, past, present, and future, are unfailingly transformed, becoming light. Again, while this does sound very esoteric or almost fantastical, what we're talking about here is the embracing of wisdom and compassion. What we are talking about is us taking refuge in Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion. And when we do this, we can approach life with a more open mind and a more compassionate heart. I sincerely believe that while we may never truly get out of our own ego, we can still deeply listen to Shinran Shonin's teachings as well as the Buddha's teachings and move forward in life in a way that causes more peace rather than harm, more harmony rather than discord. So with this in mind, as we continue to chant and say Namo Amida Butsu, let us all take stock in the fact that we say Namo Amida Butsu together with the hopes of peace in the world. Will you all please join me in Gassho? When we say Namo Amida Butsu, which surpasses all virtues, our heavy obstructions of evil, past, present, and future, are all unfailingly transformed, becoming light. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nam Mandavs Nam Mandavs.